Hello, Harbor Park. We're back with another episode of Anchored, or episode 85. I'm Coach Dave.
Coach Corian.
And it is a cold, chilly Monday.
Monday.
But, if we're looking at the positive of today, it's sunny and the Packers lost yesterday.
Okay, this is not a positive.
That's a positive for me. When you're not a Packer fan, it is the greatest thing ever. But I understand that there's a lot of Packer fans who's probably going to listen to this. So I mourn your loss. At least you made it farther than my team.
Dude, did you see the meme this morning? I think I want to say James O'Hagan had it on his Instagram story, but it's like two people in a fight, but the face was covered over. So like there's someone on the ground and it's like their face is like the Packer logo, and then someone's on top of them just like wailing on him, and it's San Francisco. And then there's like someone laying in the grass with a camera out and like laughing, and it's a bear's face.
It's pretty funny.
It actually made my morning because they did. They sadly just fucking whooped on the Packers.
Yeah.
I had hope in that second half though. Like we were gonna turn it off, and I was like, "Oh, they scored! Like let's watch it." Like they're only down by 2 scores.
I thought about. It was pretty boring, even though like I'm not a Packer fan, so I wasn't really interested in that game really. But like it was kind of a blowout, so I was like, eh. Like this is kind of boring. Like it's not even exciting. Like it's cool to watch the Packers get whooped, but or at least for me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like blowout games like that, to be honest, unless it's my team that's winning. But
Of course.
But that doesn't happen very often for my team. So
No.
all right. Well, enough of that. Corey, what are we chatting about today?
What do we always chat about? Awesomeness.
That's right.
We're talking about nutrition today.
And specifically, how it's okay to not be perfect all the time and not always feel, I guess, stressed that you have to track, you have to food prep, you have to do all this other stuff. And so we wanted to kind of guide you through our process and our journey from nutrition to give you guys all like maybe a little bit of a background and some help when it comes to this topic because it's confusing.
I think the biggest thing that I've been having, it's the new year. We have a lot of returning members. I'm excited. They've been awesome, and I've been doing goal sessions with them and getting them set up. But sometimes people do this when they're brand new, and sometimes people do this when they're getting back into their fitness or nutrition or healthy lifestyle. And what I'm finding, even for myself personally, is that when we've already achieved what we thought was like what we wanted, like we achieved it once, like I got low in body fat, I was really healthy, I was competing, all those things, but I fell off for a while, and now I want to get back at it. What happens is, once we know things, we're like, fuck, there's a lot to do. I have to do X, Y, and Z. I have to do it perfectly. Like, that's when I was feeling my best, is when I was working out 5 times a week and 2 hours a day, and I was meal prepping, and I was counting macros, and I was weighing and measuring my food, and I was drinking 8 glasses of water, and taking all my vitamins, and, journaling every day. Okay, the problem is that's very overwhelming. You're like, fuck, there's this laundry list of things in order to be where I wanted to be. What we have to remember is that it's okay to be a beginner again. If I would have given you that laundry list of everything when you first started, you would have been just as overwhelmed and probably failed because it's too much. So why, when we're trying to get back into it, do we stack 10 to 15 things on our plate that we want to achieve?
Yeah.
Why do we not go through the same process? You did one thing at a time, you added slowly, and you got to your goal. That's what it takes. It doesn't matter if you've done it before or not. We have to just work at one step, one phase, and build on it. Even as I get back into my nutrition and feeling healthy again and being excited, I had to take things away because I was overloading my plate and I was feeling so overwhelmed that it was making me feel like a failure, and then I wasn't achieving anything. And now, in 2 weeks, I feel much better doing less than I have for the last 2-3 months fighting to be where I thought I needed to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we stress about like it's awesome to see people make all these great decisions. You know, we're gonna jump into it head first. We're gonna, you know, it's the first of the year. We're excited. We're motivated. We're gonna get back to the gym. So we're seeing a lot of pass numbers come in. And like you said, we overload our plates, and it's so hard that like when you fail maybe or you miss one of those goals, then it's like, oh well, I have to give up because I missed some of these things, right? Or it just becomes overwhelming, and then it's like, well, I can't continue to maintain this because it's just so overwhelming. Whereas, like you said, if you can just take the baby steps, like our post today, you know, take 1 inch at a time, 1 step at a time. Like you don't have to go completely submerged unless you're ready for it. But like, it's okay to take small steps.
But I'll say 99.9% of people aren't ready for that, no matter what you think in your head. And I think the problem is we're just, human nature is to overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
So like I said, once you know all the things, you try to implement all the things. But that wasn't what got you to your goals to begin with. Your goals to begin with, you were completely oblivious to what you needed to do, and all you did was work on one thing at a time. Ate more vegetables. Got into the gym a couple times a week. Listened to your coach. Did the workout. Like, when I tell people that some days my daily goal is to just not eat processed shit and to get 30 minutes of activity. They're like, well, what's that mean to you? I'm like, literally just 30 minutes where I felt like my breathing got heavy and my heart rate was elevated. That is an achievement for me right now. Way more. Now, with that, I'm getting back into classes, I'm doing my accessory work, I'm doing mobility. But those are not my goals.
Right.
My goal is a 30 minutes of activity. Once I start warming up, once I start stretching, once I start getting moving, more things happen. But if my goal was to do all the things and then I wasn't able to, what happens? I'm mad at myself and I beat myself up.
Right, and it's like when we talk about goal setting too, or like when you have a to-do list of things to do, what do we always say? We say list it out with your topics of your top 3 things in a day and don't overload it. And then when you have your list, your goal should be to check off those 3 things, and then that way, you know, when you accomplish them, you feel accomplished. And if you're grooving at an awesome rate, then you can always accomplish more. But at least you got those 3 and you feel accomplished. That way, like when you write it out or you do one thing at a time, and that way it doesn't seem so overwhelming, and we don't feel overloaded.
Yeah, we want to set ourselves up for wins. The more wins you can give your brain and your body, the more you're going to be excited and thrilled to keep going.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean, like, me and you personally, when it comes to our business and everything else, like, we know we set ourselves up for some big fucking goals.
Right.
That a lot of times we're not going to hit yet. And that's okay. There's certain times for that. But overall, our general goals, 90% of the time, are very much achievable, very simple, and we define action steps, and then we go from there. Like I said, my goal is to eat whole real food, listen to my body when it's hungry. And for the first time in probably well over a year, like, I don't even know if you know this, I bought ice cream at the grocery store yesterday, and like, was like, fuck yeah, Sunday night, I'm having ice cream tonight, like, it's so delicious, dairy free. But we didn't have it. We had our normal rice cake with some peanut butter.
But now that I know it's there, we're having it.
But for me, what happens is I get in a scarcity mindset when I share things with you. Like, you take a bite, then I want to take a bite, and I'm like, oh my god, it's going to be gone. But like, now that I'm giving myself freedom with my nutrition and my food, like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about, like, if we make a bowl of popcorn and we share it, who got more. Because I'm not counting fucking macros. And so I'm not like, oh god, well, Dave ended up eating more of this. Like, did I really eat 2 cups of popcorn? Like, that's what I love, you know? And I'm not stressing about it. I'm also not stressing when we're super fucking busy at the gym and I miss 1 or 2 meals of trying to overload my dinner to make up for those macros. I'm like, no, what does my body want? Right. What am I hungry for?
So let's talk about, like, I guess our evolution there, and like how we got to like where we're at right now. Like, not really, like, we care about what we eat. We're watching what we eat. We're eating whole real foods. You know, moderation. I'm doing more of like a palm-sized portion, but like, how did we get here? Part of it was, you know, this is like what, 2, maybe 3 years in the making, of feeling like, you know, that's just the step, right? You get fit, you do CrossFit, and then you got to get your nutrition in line. So for me, it was like, oh, I got to start tracking. What are my macros? I got to make sure that I'm eating 145 grams of protein in a day for my lean body mass, and that has to come down to, you know, for my activity level, this is how many carbs I need, and then what my goals are, plus, you know, I don't want to put on fat, or, you know, I want to lean out a little bit, so here's my fat grams, right? And so, like, you have this set number of calories that you're supposed to eat a day, and, you know, you start to log that. Well, me, I'm pretty lazy, so I was just,
that is like the understatement of the world, guys, when it comes to logging.
For me, it was like, well, I mean, when you're looking at it, you get 3,000 calories in a day. I mean, that's a lot of calories, and when you got to hit 300 grams of carbs in a day, you know, it's like, shoot, if I'm going to eat all the, you know, the green leafy vegetables, like, that's, to be honest, it's not a lot of carbohydrates in grams wise. So, you know, I'd basically eating all of our fruits and vegetables in like a single day. So, well, how can I hit these grams in my numbers? It became simple. Well, oatmeal and potatoes, which on the surface they're not terrible. They're not the worst things in the world. But then, like, so it was rice, potatoes, and oatmeal was my main, like, carbohydrate sources. So that's what I just started eating, because it was like, well, I know I can have a cup of oatmeal in a day. I can have this much sweet potatoes and this much potatoes, and I'd hit my numbers. So to me, I'm hitting my numbers. I should be feeling good, looking good, right, and doing all that. Well, you know, that became just like repetitive, just every day eating the same foods, and I'm okay with it. I didn't get bored with it. It just became like I, you know, took a step back and realized that, like, I'm always eating the same meal. I mean,
and I would say this all the time. Like, Dave and I would constantly go back and forth. I'm like, how can, like, I mean, I generally eat the same thing. Y'all know that I eat a burger bowl for fucking dinner, like, every day. But, like, I'm always, like, Dave's like, oh my god, your meals take so long to make, and, you know, because I'm using all the different vegetables, and then I buy all these vegetables and all this fruit, thinking Dave's gonna eat it, but he just eats rice and fucking potatoes.
Right, and I still eat them, but I guess, like, what happened was, I mean, Luke started, you know, we're big into documentaries and reading, and what was that one movie the documentary movie that we watched was about, like, the plant-based diet? I don't know, there was a
Game Changer.
Game Changer, yeah. So we're watching that, and I know a few people that are pretty strict. Mr. Anthony Wurster is one of them, and his engine is just phenomenal. Granted, that's because he rides the bike all day long, but I know that he watched it, he was telling me about it, said that, you know, he's kind of switching, and I just started reading that, or watching that, and then, you know, all the other things I know about nutrition, and just, I like to test things out, see how things work for me, because I'm not going to tell, like, because I started having people, obviously people watch this documentary, it's kind of important, it's something that's new, so everybody's watching, and then I have people coming up to me, what do you think of this? What do you think of a plant-based diet? Do you think it's true? Should we not be eating so much meat? Like, I don't know. Personally, I've never tried it, you know, like, I've only accustomed to eating, you got to make sure you eat the meat, and hit your proteins, right? So I'm like, well, I'm going to try it with the thought of not so much just vegetables, but more of, like, incorporate more vegetables, and when I eat my meats, more fish than, like, chicken and beef products.
Guys, can I also just tell you that, like, when we had this conversation, I was like, what does that look like to you? Because that's what I ask people a lot, because what's in my head and what's in his head might not be the same thing. So, like, getting more details on, like, what that looks like. At the end of the day, it was him saying, like, I need more color, I need more vegetables, and I'm like, well, fuck, yeah, that's what I've been telling you. We've gone through so many things with you of, like, nutrient deficiencies, or maybe you thought you had food allergies and all these other things, but I really just think it was just lack of, like, minerals and vitamins, because your meals, although maybe would be flavor profiles slightly different with sauces or something, were just so repetitive all the time that you weren't getting the variations of the micronutrients. You were getting your macros, which was important, but you weren't hitting your micros. And, like, I tell people all the time, like, that's what, like, each color of vegetables and fruits have, like, different micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals, and you need to eat from that color of the rainbow every day. And you were sticking to white. So
it's a color.
it is, it's in there, but it wasn't enough, and it was causing a lot of issues for you. But I know that it was very overwhelming for you to think about, like, okay, how can I hit my macros, like you said, while eating all these veggies. Whereas like now we've taken that away.
And that's what I guess I'm trying to explain is I think that this is the downfall of tracking all the time or trying to stay on point, right? Because what happens is it turns into, like, it can go the other way too, right? It can be like, well, it fits, I can eat this ice cream bar or this donut because I'm gonna log it and it fits, and like you fall into this whole like well, I logged it, it fits, like I can eat whatever then as long as I make it fit. And that's why the big joke of if it fits your macros or whatever. So it's like, just because it fits doesn't mean it's good for you, and doesn't mean that that's where you're gonna get your nutrients from. Anyways, long story short, my ride told Corianne, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna stop tracking for a bit, just for one, because
to be honest, you really weren't tracking to begin with, but that's fine.
I was. But I was eating the same thing every day, so it was just kind of like, I know what I needed. Like, I knew I needed a cup of rice. I knew I needed this many potatoes. I knew, you know what I mean? So it was like so repetitive to me. I was like, why am I going to log it? I already know what I'm eating, and the only difference would be if I changed up a meal. And I have to figure it out. But I already knew it. So then I was like, but then I'm still thinking in my head every day, like, make sure I get this. I have to have this. And it was just kind of like annoying to me. And then obviously we went through a lot of changes business-wise over the Christmas, and then there was Christmas on top of it with all the holidays, and I was like, and you were like, Dave, why aren't you checking in with me? And I'm like, to be honest, like, I just need a break. I think I just came to that point where I was like, you know what, I watched this documentary, a lot of people talking about, how they have more energy, they're feeling good with these vegetable diets. So I was like, I am going to test eating more fish and less chicken, because we all know that what does chicken eat? All the grain that they give them, right? They shouldn't be eating all that. So like a lot of it was that. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to eat less of the beefs and the chickens and the poultry, and more fish and vegetables. So I've been trying to incorporate that, and I've been feeling great. And the other aspect of it is like, I'm not fretting over, oh my God, did I eat enough today? Like, I'm just like you. I'm eating now when I'm hungry, and like roughly making sure, like, in my mind, and I'm doing like more palm-sized portions, like that. For me, I love a big breakfast, so I usually overload on breakfast, and then throughout the day I'll have 2 smaller meals, and then dinner. I just not really hungry at night.
No.
By the time I get home, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I'll have like
which is so weird, because like you used to eat the majority of your food at night, and then that was always your issue, is because we were coaching. You were like, I'm just not hungry in the morning, and so you'd plan for your food at night, but then we would be busy and you wouldn't get to eat, and then you'd be ravishing and you'd be like so frustrated.
Well, I was also trying to be like, oh shoot, I've got 100 grams of carbs I need to eat, and like, that was the other thing, is I would just stuff at night, because I would be like, well, I have to hit those numbers, so like, you go to bed with your belly is like Santa, and you can't sleep because you're full, because it's just like that. So now I just get home, have myself a casein shake and a rice cake with a little bit of peanut butter on it. That's my little treat. That's my journey. So I went from being super strict, tracking every day, to eating the same thing every day, because that was easiest for me. I didn't want to have to think about it. And I just came to that realization that like why, right? I have to ask myself why. Why am I tracking? What am I doing this for? I am a CrossFit athlete. Yes, I want to have a healthy lifestyle. But like, do I need to track? Am I going to the games? Like, how about I just look at how my workouts are going? And to be honest, now that I'm not tracking, I don't know, maybe it just frees up my mind a little bit more, but I feel a lot better in my workouts.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still getting stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I was listening to a podcast once of my favorite people, Bean Bus, and they were talking about, and I've talked about this before, about tasting the air. Like, when one of them was hungry, she was like, I would just go like in the kitchen, and I would just kind of like breathe in, and I'd like give my body like, what do I want right now? Like, what am I in the mood for? What am I hungry for? And then she would make food from that. She's like, that's why I hate meal prepping, because like I prep food, but then my body doesn't want that. And so that I'm not hungry for that thing, and then I don't know what I want. So like she likes to just do it in the moment, and we've done that before. After our comp one time, like my body was just craving. Like we went out to eat afterwards, and then I was full. But at home, I was like, I just want some grilled chicken right now. I clearly hadn't had enough protein, and my body was wanting protein. And I tell people when we eat whole real foods and we get away from the chemical compounds and the sugar rush and the MSG and all the other things that are in processed foods, your body is going to tell you what you're hungry for. And it's okay. Like a lot of my clients come to me and they're like, I wish I didn't have cravings, and I wish that I wasn't hungry, and I wish no, don't fight that. Let your body tell you what it wants. Right now, because you eat a lot of processed stuff, it only knows to get nutrients from there, so that's what it's going to crave, and that's okay. We'll start figuring it out, and then we'll start adding more whole real foods, and your body will start craving fresh stuff more because it just doesn't know where to get it from right now. And I think like that's really, really important for you, is to like, what does my body need, and where does it feel good, you know?
Right. So then let's I kind of talked about my journey, and like, what was yours like? I think like my journey was a lot about learning to love myself finally. Like I was always, so I made this post like last week or something. Like I always was looking for happiness, but like outside myself. Like I thought like if I had a 6-pack ab, like, and was super fit and was crushing at the gym and was 11% body fat, like I'd be healthy and happy and love myself. But I mean, you were around when I was that, and I was miserable. I still like picked out every ounce of where I thought fat was, and you're like, Corinne, it's not fat at all. And like, and then I made jokes about like how my abs didn't even look like abs, and you were like, well, you've had surgery and they've cut your abs open, and like, it's not gonna look like other people's. And I just still was like looking for this. So I think for me and a lot of people, when we're uncomfortable and unhappy, we try to put that feeling off of like I'm physically like grabbing my chest and like pulling it away from me. Like we're trying to put it out here, because then it's not our problem. It's this thing over here that is the problem, or even the solution. And I think that's what people, when they're constantly looking for like the next fad diet or this and that, is because they're not internally looking at themselves. They're looking at like what out there is going to make them happy and you know, serve as their thing. And so even though I went through this journey with nutrition, it was definitely much more soul searching. And I'm listening to this book that the registered dietitian that I work with was recommended to me, and it's Intuitive Eating. And it says it's because like all the things you do as you're growing up and like feeling like failure, like getting body fat, or you know, not having muscle, or eating fast food, not knowing how to cook, or other things. So like you don't trust yourself. You don't trust that my body's gonna tell me what it needs, and it's just gonna pack on the pounds. And I've made the conscious decision that I'm going to let my body tell me what she needs. And initially that might mean packing on some extra weight because she's, again, nervous and like upset and like doesn't know. But like I said, I didn't have the ice cream last night. The other day when we were eating something else, I was like, I don't have to have it. Like normally, like even the ribs we made last night, I would have eaten them. But I was full, and I told you, I was like, I don't, like we normally split in half. I was like, I don't need that. Like I'm fine. It'll either be here tomorrow or it won't, and I'll make more later. And you took the leftovers today. I did.
And I'm not mad. Like I'm like I said, I'm learning to trust my body and like understand that it's okay. There will be food later. Like I don't have, and it's just because I deprived myself for so long that I got in a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, I think you get very obsessive and overly like beat yourself up over your food and like have to eat it. Like you go, like obviously I talked about mine, but I think you go to the extreme. So you take mine, like to me it was like, I started getting to the point where I was like, well, alright, whatever, I'm not hungry, I'm not gonna eat it. Like, alright, and I left 50 off the table. I'll make sure that I do better tomorrow on my planning. You, like, no, I have to eat that 50, and how can I make this work? And you'd sit there for 20, 30 minutes playing on MyFitnessPal, just trying to figure out how you can make something work in what combination to hit your numbers.
And for me, it became so overwhelming because, like, if I always plan my meal the night before, like, for the next day, so that I knew when I was waking up, like, what to make. But, like, say I thought something was in the fridge or the pantry or whatever, and it wasn't there, and now I have to readjust it. Like you said, there's another 20, 30 minutes because I have to be perfect. I have to be spot on. And I don't do that for any of my clients, so I don't know why I don't know if it's like as I get older, my OCD gets worse and worse.
Maybe.
But I 100% know that being perfect isn't going to mean I'm going to have perfect results. It's just a weird thing with numbers. Like, I just have to have it even. I don't know. I can't even work out. Like, when you're like do 30 seconds of work while we're warming up, like, I count. And if I did 8 on one arm, when I do the other one, if it moves faster and I got 8, I have to stop. I don't care that there's 10 seconds left. Like, I stop. And I was just becoming so obsessive. Like, if you grab something, like I said, like, that was what I planned, and now I don't know how to change it. And if I forgot a meal, now everything's off. And it was really taking up a lot of my time. And I wasn't seeing results at all.
Yeah, and I think that could be, we talk about this a lot too, like, you start stressing, and what does stress bring? Cortisol, which cortisol does not help you lose weight, and does not help you exercise right, and does not help you sleep right. So when you raise those, that stress hormone, like, you're just adding an extra stress to it. Now, this isn't to say, like, we're not going through this whole podcast to say, like, don't ever track, don't use MyFitnessPal, don't do the macro tracking. Like, those all have great benefits.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Absolutely. But what we're trying to say is that it doesn't have to be all, and it's okay to take a step back. Like, we just decided, like, hey, let's just take a step back from tracking, because we see, we started not noticing, obviously, there was a negative to it, right? Corian was getting too obsessive. Me, I just wanted to make sure that I was eating more vegetables, and in my own way, I guess I was being obsessive too.
Yeah.
Going the route of, like, just eating the same foods. And then it would come to the weekend, and it would be like, all right, sweet. And I always allow myself on the weekends to have, not gorge and go out crazy, but I would never track on the weekends, and I would just be like, okay, fine. I can't make a steak or a burger fit because my fats were always so low. So it was like, now it's like, I'm just allowing myself to have some freedom that, like, okay, one time a week, because I'm trying to eat more vegetables and more fish, trying to stay away from all the beef stuff, but it's okay to have some beef or chicken on the weekend, and, like, not have to track it. Or if I'm hungry a little bit more, like, sometimes on the weekends we're a lot more busier for whatever reason, and we don't food prep because we have to be at the gym a little bit earlier to open both days. I don't know, so it's just like we're not in that routine, but it's like, so we coach all morning, and then we work out a little bit later than normal, and then maybe we don't make food because we're like, well, we'll be home in the afternoon, we'll just have our food then, so we eat just breakfast but don't bring food with us, and then, like, by the time we get home, it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like,
so we eat something small and then we have a dinner.
Right, and it's, as opposed to, like, having, an extra meal that we normally wouldn't. But anyways, the long story short is, we're not saying don't track. If it's for you and it works for you and you're okay with it, fine, but it's okay to not. It's okay to just listen to your body sometimes, and it's okay to take a step back, and you know what? We're not going to go and, like, gain 20, 30 pounds.
And I think, like, the biggest thing for me too is everything has a purpose, and everything has something. Like, a lot of my clients learn a lot when they do macros. A lot of them learn a lot when they do palm-sized portions, or just eat healthy, or whatever it is. The thing that you have to understand is, like, what is this doing, and is it serving you? Initially, tracking macros was serving my purpose. It's not anymore. So for me personally, it's not something. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't go back to macros at some point in my life. Who knows?
Right.
But right now, with what my goals are and what the reality of my life and your life is, it's not serving us. It's just making us frustrated. Just like I tell people, like, sometimes cooking for yourself and homemade meals and all that is not serving you because it's just too much. So eating out, ordering meals, or anything else is going to serve you better than what you're currently doing. Now, how can we make that healthier and still fit your goals? That's the point. So find what what is it you're trying to do right now, and then what serves you.
Right.
And macros for me, like you said, it was ruining my happiness towards food, and it wasn't allowing me to be true to what I want.
Yeah.
And I think that always works. Like when I worked with another nutrition coach before Nina, like I thought that's what I wanted, and a couple months in was not serving me. That's it. It's not wrong or right or anything in between. It's just whether or not it's serving your purpose. And at different points in your life, different things are going to serve your purpose.
Right. So you always have to ask yourself why. Like, why am I doing this? And that was like my thing too. It's like, okay, it's okay to just eat more vegetables and not really track, and it's gonna be fine because that will take some stress away from me, and then I can just focus on other things. And I'm just gonna eat, and like I won't overeat. Like I still know, like I go off of like the palm-sized portions, and it's just easier right now, and it just feels like a weight lifted. Now I will say that macro counting in the beginning when I was first learning about nutrition was a phenomenal way to like learn like, oh, okay, this is what those 3 macronutrients mean, the proteins, the carbs, the fats, and like how they work together for energy, muscle building, cell repair, right? Those are very important, and I feel like, yes, tracking is important and understanding that too, but like you don't have to get too crazy with it and worry about it so much that like you have, if a coach assigns you 300 grams of carbs, you have to eat 300 grams of carbs. Like, you know, it's all just because it works for someone or because, you know, your favorite games athlete does it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. I mean,
and me and Rachel just did a podcast that'll be coming out soon about coaching and like finding a good coach and finding a good gym, and I think the same rules apply to finding like your nutrition. What works for you is like, what are your goals, what's your purpose, and then what's going to help you achieve that. And like I said, for me, I was just going like in such a different direction. Like my I talk about this all the time. Expectation and reality were just not the same. You know, I wasn't tracking on weekends either because I was like, oh, I'm gonna give myself some freedom to let my body choose. But like, then I was literally punishing myself Monday through Friday by dropping my calories because I didn't know what I was doing on the weekend, and I just assumed because my body composition wasn't changing, I must be overeating. So okay, fine, you're gonna overeat on the weekends. Let's just take nutrients away during the week. But like that wasn't like I still wasn't achieving goals. And then like I told you, my problem was like when we would make stuff that I didn't have to track, regardless of how full I was, I would finish it because I'm like, I can't make this fit Monday through Friday.
Right.
And I will not waste food.
And there was some foods we would have avoid that we enjoyed. We just pick up, nope, that's going to be too much fat, and we're not going to eat it during the week, so don't even buy it.
Yep.
You know, like a lot of it would be pork, or you know, like a pork shoulder, or something simple like even certain beefs that we could just throw in the crock pot. You know, but because it wouldn't fit, that made it harder for us to like make those bigger meals that we could just eat throughout the week, so we just avoided it.
Yeah. And you know, I tell people when it comes to my meal prep, like before when we first opened the gyms and we were busy a lot, we meal prepped a lot on Sundays for the entire week. And then as we became less busy, we were meal prepping per day. Now that we're getting busy again, we are probably going to go back to making some of those crock pot meals. But my neurotic self couldn't track macros and make a crock pot meal that I shared with you. Because I just thought, like, what if he got more of the potatoes and I got more of the chicken? Like, that's not going to work.
Right.
So, like, if we did make crock pot meals, it was like, here's your crock pot, here's my crock pot. Like, that's how, like...
And then we had to weigh everything out before.
Yes.
You know, and, like, how could we break this down? So if it's 64 ounces, let's split that up into, 4 ounces per meal, and that means how many containers, and, like, let's build it out in MyFitnessPal. Like, yeah, I mean, it serves a purpose. If you have specific goals that, you know, like, hey, you know, maybe you're sick and we need to get you off some diabetic medication, you know, something like that. If that's your goal, then yeah, we're gonna have to be pretty strict at what you're eating and like really track that, you know. So, you know, those are the times that yes, tracking is perfectly important, you know. But like if we're just saying like, hey, we just want to live healthy and like
Yeah.
enjoy life and run our gym and not have a stressor on top of it, like is it okay to sit there and not to make a crock pot meal and just say like, that looks like enough for me for lunch? I think so, as long as like obviously it's fresh meals, right? So it's fruits and vegetables, right? There's still some lean protein in there, and we're not overindulging it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and like Dave said, like, who are you? What are your goals? If like when people come to me and they're like, I want a 6-pack ab, or I want to be a games athlete,
Right.
or you know, I'm on heart medications and I want to get off them. Yes, we absolutely have ways that works and things that you have to do.
Right.
Not everything is going to be comfortable.
Right.
But like that doesn't mean there's only one way to do stuff. Like my client that I'm currently working with, like his sole purpose is to not be pre-diabetic anymore and to lower his cholesterol and all of that sort of stuff. His health markers are pretty high. And we're not tracking through macros, but he also just eats fast food and drinks energy drinks and drinks a lot of alcohol.
Right.
So we've just added veggies. And because of him adding veggies, he doesn't go out as much because he's like, there's not as many options for veggies. I'm teaching him how to cook a little bit and cook a little faster. He's done great. It's been like a month and a half. He's done like 12 pounds.
Right.
You know, but that wasn't a goal. His goal is his health markers, which he's got an appointment next week, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. But, I mean, there are multiple ways to do stuff. But the more we add that 1%, you might have to get to that point. Where like, yes, you're tracking, yes, you're weighing and measuring, or maybe you are specifically with like a meal prep company that makes all your food and you're eating the same thing all the time and you're taking your vitamins and your supplements to make up for the things you're missing. Like, that's fine. Just know where you're at in your journey. And in my journey, I am not at that point, and I don't want to be.
And remember, nutrition is not a one-size-fits-all. I mean, it's what works for one person, and that's why like some people have amazing results on keto, or why there are so many different diets out there in the world, and people will swear by the results. It's because that's what worked for them, and it's not going to necessarily work for everybody. You know, like your body reacts differently to certain things. You know, there's a lot of family history involved in there. There's some genes that are involved in there. There's so much that goes into it. And that's why nutrition is not a one-size-fits-all, and why all diets don't work.
And I hate when people are like, me and Rachel are talking about this too, like, this worked for me, so now I'm gonna make a company and get everybody to do this. So they're just throwing shit out there, and it will stick for some people. Some people who have the same body type or the same goals and the same history, and you know, there's billions of people in the world.
Right.
So yes, that will work for people who have a similar lifestyle as yours.
Right.
But to think that that's the only way, the only thing is not appropriate. Now, that being said, there's a difference between having a niche, like what we do, and then thinking that's the only way to achieve goals. I never say this is the only way you're going to achieve goals. That's why we offer people trials for our gym, because I know that CrossFit's fun. I know that it's exciting and will help people achieve goals, but you need to know that it's right for you, and that might not be the case, and that's okay. Same with my nutrition. Like, I don't treat any of my clients the same. They all have different backgrounds and different histories, and we find what works for them.
Right.
And now, this is what I am good at. So if you're liking CrossFit, if you like the way I do nutrition, let's work together. But it's not the only way.
Right.
And if it's not the way for you, I will greatly just give you other people you could work with, and that's okay.
Right. And that's and this is maybe kind of why typically, like, we used to do nutrition challenges 3 times a year. We didn't really do any last year because I think like it just kind of went against what we believe in and like what we thought about nutrition. Like, I feel, or we have felt like in the past, the nutrition challenges, they're great for the short term, for getting people on point. But again, it can also create this, well, I'm in a competition nutrition thing, so I'm going to just lose a bunch of weight, and I'm going to sacrifice whatever just to get this number to win. And then once after the 4 weeks, like, what did that teach you, right?
Yep.
So it took us a long time to really like decide like what we want to do. Lots of members approached us this new year, obviously, and said, "Hey, we would really like to do a nutrition challenge."
Yep.
So Corinne and I did a lot of searching and like, what could we do that won't instill bad habits in the gym and get people to like binge diet. Like that's not what we want. Like we want to teach healthy things and not create
a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, and exactly what we're talking about here. You know, we just want to encourage healthy eating. So one of the things that we just looked up was the 800 gram challenge, which we're gonna do starting February 10th. And so that's gonna be announced. Well, it would have already been announced by the time you guys listen to this. By the time this comes out. So yeah, we decided to go with this 800 gram challenge because we feel this challenge is going to teach not only about eating more vegetables, which is super important for any healthy eating. Like I think people, even myself, don't eat enough vegetables. And then we wanted to go, it talks about eating some protein and then sleep and exercise, because like all of those together, if you're making a lifestyle change, those go hand in hand, and we feel that there will be the most benefit for the gym and not create like this whole like, and we're not going to base it off of how much weight you lose.
No,
you know?
And I think the thing is so the 800 gram challenge is optimize me nutrition, and it's something that goes along with how we, like you said, how we feel about nutrition in the gym and what we think is going to be best for our members. So it's about adding in more vegetables and fruits and whole real foods, understanding lean proteins and stuff like that, and just healthy habits of sleeping, stress management, activities, stuff like that. It's everything that in the past of my challenges that I put together. The only difference is like this company already has some of the educational material, which is what I also preach, put together. So a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about with, why fruits and vegetables are needed, what macros do for our body, how they fuel us for our workouts and recovery and all of that stuff is just already put together for our members. It's things that I talk about daily in the gym, but I didn't want to have to take some of my personal time to create this program for 4 weeks. I mean, I've done it, but I want to just be able to talk to members. I want them to be able to, have the time to sit down with me or you versus me putting together paperwork on the back end. So Optimize Me just kind of has that all ready to go. It's everything I believe in, everything we've taught in the past, so it's not going to be really any different than our normal challenges. It's just the 800 gram challenge.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, you wouldn't have known I just snuck out to the bathroom. If you're watching this, then you would have seen me run to the bathroom. Anyways, that was just a joke, side little hustle.
Wow.
But yes, we're excited about this one, and I like the fact that it'll integrate with SugarWOD.
Yes.
So it's not another app that anybody has to do. We don't have to track it on Google Forms and all
I've
that.
done that.
Yeah, it's so hard. But so it's an app that you guys are already using. We'll be able to see like, oh, you're tracking your exercise, cool. You came to the gym that day, cool. Here's your point. It's pretty straightforward. So we're excited because it's going to teach people to eat more vegetables and some healthy habits, because sleep and working out and eating healthy all go hand in hand. So
yeah, so like I just want people to be educated on nutrition. That's my biggest thing now. Like over the last year I've really realized like you can make whatever choices you want, but understand why you're doing them and what food does for you, and then make a valid choice. Don't just do something because, like you said, your idol or the news or something you read told you that that's the best option. Like, why?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest difference of why we didn't do a nutrition challenges last year, is because we were still trying to think of how to incorporate that. Like you said, this is going to be for 4 weeks, but what's your afterwards? And this is going to help. And I tell people with my clients, with their gym, with this challenge, while going through this, we're going to educate you. And that's going to be the lifestyle changes. I don't want to just give you 4 weeks of meals or, whatever, and then afterwards you're like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. The goal is to teach you good habits that you can employ long term. So that's why we're very against like dieting and like what is the whole, like one of the ones that kind of drive me nuts is the Whole30, because you have 30 days, you can only eat these 30 things. If it's not on the list, you can't have it. Yeah, people see tremendous results, but what does that teach you? One, scarcity mindset. And then as soon as you're done with that 30-day challenge, you're like, all right, cool, I'm done. I lost 20 pounds, feeling great. And what are you going to do? You're going to bring back everything that you just took off that list. So really, what did that teach you?
That's why the Atkins diet is so big and people keep going back to it, because of the same thing. They see great results, but they don't learn about food, and they're in a scarcity mindset. And then during the other months, they just go absolutely crazy. Yeah. And like, it just, guys, the diet industry is just that. It is an industry, and it wants to make money. So it wants you to not understand things and just come back for the easiest thing. And I get it. It's hard. We only have capacity for so much in our brains. Mm-hmm. But, what's important to you? And for me, my health and my nutrition is so important because it keeps me from getting sick. It keeps me from having to go to the hospital. It keeps me off medication. It all saves me money.
Yeah.
All ups my quality of life.
Yeah. That's one thing that, like, I guess kind of I find so fascinating is, like, certain people, and I get it, like, we are a higher end facility. We teach a high end product. But we aren't as expensive, I guess, if you would have, just did personal training with a trainer who, mm-hmm. We do personal training, and it is expensive. And when you take into account what we charge monthly versus what a personal trainer charges, like, you're getting a steal of a deal to come here, and then like the level of knowledge that our coaches have, and programming and fun times and just everything put together. But like, when people hear price point, if that's all they're focused on, they're just like, oh no, too much, I'm gonna go to this gym because it's $10 a month or whatever. It's like, okay, well, but that, and that may serve you, and that serves some people, and I get it, like we already talked about how maybe our program doesn't serve everybody, and that's fine. But
are you just looking for the latest and greatest thing?
That, and like, it blows my mind what people are willing to pay on medical bills, on the prescription medication, on eating out daily. And
shakes, like, meals replacements.
Yeah, and I just, you heard something about a pill on the radio that's always out there, or, oh, it's all fine, I'll get sick, but like, I can get more medication from my doctor that'll help me lose weight, or I'll do this medical weight loss thing. And it's like, we're willing to spend all that money on that stuff, but if you were to just find a program that, like, where the trainers know what to do, for exercise, I feel like we're probably the best in Southeast Wisconsin.
Don't say probably. We're the best. Like, let's fucking own it.
And
we're the best.
We're knowledgeable on all the other facets of lifestyle tips, right?
But we're also we're humbled enough to know when we don't know things, and go research and go find things out, or go, people challenge our thinking all the time. And initially we'll get mad, but then we're like, okay, let's go look into this. What does this mean? Maybe they're right. Like, if you listen to some of our earlier podcasts, like, I absolutely was wrong on shit. Mm-hmm. And back then, I had a different mindset about, like, being an authority figure and being a leader and stuff like that. Now I realize, like, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have, new information come out or whatever, and find what works for you. But that is me growing, not only like as a business owner, but as a person. So like, I'm okay with people like coming to me with information and being like, how does this fit into your idea and what your thoughts are? And I'm like, hey, let me look, let me read. Yeah. But I'm not gonna read one fucking thing and be like, oh, that's it. We've watched, like you said, all the food documentaries. We're reading all the food books, because everything is going to have a different objective and point of view. And the more I read, and the more I learn, and the more I listen, the more I can make my own decision and choices.
Yeah, because even if the information is wrong or you don't believe in it, you can still learn from it.
Like, I 100%, like, I started this book about plant-based diet, and I do have some, what's the word I'm looking for? Hesitation? Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, it's just gonna tell me like meat is bad, and like I love my burgers and my steak. But even in the very beginning, the preface, the thing that tells you about the book
Yes.
at the beginning, it says this is not necessarily like meat versus plant. It's about quality of food because even vegans and vegetarians are unhealthy when they're eating processed shit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that opened up my mind a little bit more. And he said, this is not about trying to 100% make you go plant-based and say that you shouldn't eat meat. It's just trying to get you to understand what plants do for your body, how those micronutrients work, how they help you heal, how they regenerate your cells. And then you make your decision. If you want to go completely plant-based, great. If you want to be more of a plant eater with some meat, I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but I'm going to take everything I read with a grain of salt because I'm going to use the other knowledge I have over the years of learning and documentaries and the books I've read to put everything together.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of a long-winded podcast.
Maybe a little bit.
51 minutes. Sweet. But, Corey, if you could wrap this up in one thing, what do you think? What's the wrap up?
Just like everything, there's phases in life. So always know, like you said, always be checking in with yourself and asking yourself those questions of like, what are my goals right now? Why are they important? What's going to serve me?
Yes.
And then you'll find what is right for you. But stop looking outside of yourself for those things.
Yeah, definitely ask yourself, like, why? Why am I doing this? And not just be like, well, it's because what everybody else is doing. Like, don't be a follower. Be a leader of yourself. And understand that it's okay to not be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like our post today, well, past Monday, perfection, you can't be perfect.
No.
But if you chase perfection, you can achieve at least excellence. And that's what we're going for. And that means basically just aim to be 1% better every day. If that is you starting out in nutrition and you're like, what do I do? Maybe that 1% is stop drinking soda.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Positive
stop
more stuff.
drinking
Not stop. Add in more.
vegetables.
Add in more. Something else. Water.
Yeah.
So like, don't think about the negative stuff because that's going to get you in the scarcity mindset. So like right now I'm doing exactly what I tell my clients. It's not that I can't have ice cream, but did I eat all my vegetables today? Did I drink water? Did I have tea? And then I want less of the other stuff because when you focus on all the negative, that's all you're going to see around you. And you're not giving yourself what to do. You're just telling yourself what not to do. And then you're like sitting there going, oh, well, what do I do with my day?
Yeah.
So give yourself the good things you want to do.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, friends, we're going to wrap this up so we don't because we can go all day.
Oh God, I could talk about nutrition for hours.
But we have things to do, and I'm sure you guys have places to be as well.
Gonna go get my 30 minutes of activity.
All right. So, happy Monday, everyone. Well, Friday by the time you listen to this. We'll see you guys next week or on the next episode of Anchored. Thanks for tuning in. Coach Dave.
Coach Torian.